malungel sil marbek adro hu agi mal mereka sudiu el gukla mo se eder mot makartial ngia mali reak program ra Kausischakl ang malungel armugol el guk temel program leng mal togubet sa okyagargit ngalo okyagargit akmom ere te al mo se el dimongil sio kaerngi dinggang Dr. Neeraj Sharma el lara blura roid blura Indian me yak mo ay sige lo say yang kung ngaram le ulo omrolel ang kang talade ngaram le ulo omrolel ang berbelaw ma diregal ngartialo bengela adiregal Mr. Marvin Girutang al mo join nagit tel discussion magimal mereng asuliw kadamo mura program regid mang kadamo sisibing kan other tel al dadu mo si eder kukar morong si thank you Neeraj. Thank you, Marvin. Thank you for this opportunity for you to be here, and then we can use this opportunity to hear, what's happening. Like as far as the relationship between Palau and India, and what do you see Palau can, or what do you do that Palau can benefit from India? This relationship between these two countries.
Well, Ali, and thank you so much for having me at the studio today. It's a pleasure.
Right.
My name is Neeraj Sharma, and I am the Honorary Consul General of the Republic of Palau to India. So we have representation from India in Palau, and now I represent Palau in India.
I see.
So the diplomatic relations of India and Palau go back to 1994. As early as 1994, India and Palau signed relations, and we are a very friendly country to each other, and very supportive in the endeavors at both ends.
Okay, so Neeraj, thank you for that. Can you also introduce yourself, like where you from? Of course, you're from India, but where in India? What do you do? And so, what brought you to Palau?
So I am a graduate from the Indian Institute of Management, which is the premier management institute in India. I have also done my master's in international business. So I am a second generation businessman. I come from the capital city, which is New Delhi. We've been looking at options of exploring businesses worldwide for our business, but when I was doing that, I stumbled upon a very interesting fact of looking at an island nation, literally taking a microscope into the ocean and looking, because Palau is very, very small when you compare to so many countries across the Africas, the India, the US, they're huge landmass, but Palau is very small. So when I saw the island, I was very intrigued by its beauty. This is in 2016-17. At that time, the internet was evolving. So the information about Palau was just growing on the internet. So when I saw, then I wrote to the government of Palau that I want to visit you. And the idea was not to do any business. The idea was just to explore a country. And the first time I tried to book a ticket, I didn't know how to reach here. So I asked a lot of travel agents that how do I reach Palau? So they did not understand. So they asked me, where is Palau? So I said, never mind, I will explore it myself. So finally, when I reached here, I saw such pristine waters. I saw the rock islands. I was mesmerized. And then I, like every Indian, the first thing we look for going outside India is for Indian food. And here I find Taj Palau. And that's where I met Honorable Robert Scaria, who was the Honorary Consul of India in Palau. And we happened to talk. Then I met the government and I expressed my interest to represent Palau. And I am grateful to the administration of Republic of Palau that they accepted me to represent them. It's an honor that I will always bestow rest of my life.
Right. Thank you, Neeraj. You know, when I look at the relationship between Palau and India, the first thing that comes to my mind was that I think a few years ago, there was a program that brought a young Palawan lady to India. And I think it was about renewable energy, solar energy, or that program. And that's also an assistance that India has provided to Palau. And Palau is also have this nationally determined contribution where we have to attain like 45% renewable by 2030 or 2025. So can you talk about that program from India and its solar energy and renewable energy programs?
So, if my memory serves me right, it was the Solar Mama project.
Yes, that's it. Solar Mama project, right?
Yeah. So there were two citizens from Palau who had gone to India to train on solar installations and solar maintenance. Now you have to understand that for small island developing countries, energy is a big drain on its exchequer for fuel, for power, for other things. So India took the initiative to create the International Solar Alliance, wherein countries such as France and Germany were initially made a part of it. The entire alliance thought we could have the countries which are across the above and below the equator, but the response was so good. Now almost all countries have become a part of the International Solar Alliance, and Palau is on the verge of becoming a active member of the alliance. The advantage of this is you get access to technology, you get access to equipment, you get access to the financial requirements for solar, you get access to maintenance manuals, you get access to latest trends in the renewable sector, specifically solar. So apart from solar, there is sectors like wind energy as well. But then our focus is more on solar right now because thankfully we've got very good sun in Palau, and we feel that it can really do wonders. There is a possibility where Palau can become energy surplus over a period of time with solar energy, and I think the government of Palau is working very actively. So from the last time that I came to Palau and today, I see a lot of solar installations on rooftops. So which is a very, very healthy sign and very encouraging sign that we have. So solar energy with India's support, I think Palau will really, really benefit out of that.
Comments before we move forward to our agenda, can you, for the benefit of our audience and especially the students of diplomacy, what is an Honorary Consul General and what is an ambassador? I think from there, I think the public, a lot of the public, I don't think understand the roles.
Well, as per my wisdom, an ambassador, everybody knows, is the head of mission of an embassy in the host country. And in the country sends their citizens there to become ambassadors. Then we have the high commissions.
Right.
So high commissions are all Commonwealth countries who establish
British Commonwealth.
Yeah, who establish the missions in other countries, and their head of missions are called high commissioners. Then comes the honorary consuls or the honorary consul generals. Now the honorary consuls or honorary consul generals are those head of missions who do the entire work of an ambassador in that country, but at their cost. They establish the consulate there. Reason being, small developing countries do not want to spend that much money or do not have the resources to send in terms of human resources, in terms of a team. So we've got more than 195 accredited countries in the world. So if we have to establish embassies in all these countries, it's going to be very, very difficult. So honorary consuls do the job of a ambassador or a high commissioner in whichever country they are appointed in. So in my case, I was appointed by the Honorable President of Palau and succeeded by the Honorable President of India. So it's a very, very rare distinction and a privilege that is given to a citizen.
So you work for Palau.
I work for Palau.
Yeah. Thank you for that, and I'm sure they will be looking at you and say like, so what about Robert from Dahats?
No.
But he is the honorary consul from India to Palau.
Yeah, he works for India.
Yeah, he works for
He
India.
works for
Right,
Palau.
right.
Yeah, so I work for Palau in India.
Right. Yeah.
How many do you know of any Pacific Island countries that have representation in New Delhi?
So we have, okay, let me move 3 steps back and then tell you. When we look at the entire world, we look at them region-wise. So we have the ASEAN region, we have the Africa region, we have the CIS region. So the Pacific region is called the Oceania region. So we've got Australia, we've got New Zealand, we've got Papua New Guinea, and we've got Fiji and Nauru, who have their high commissions in India.
Nauru.
But apart from them, now there is Palau, there is Solomon Island, there is Marshall Island, there is Tuvalu, Tonga, and Kiribati. So these 7 islands have got honorary consulates in New Delhi, taking care of the interests of the country there. Because India supports these island countries in a lot of grant and aid, in a lot of projects of education, aviation, and things like that. So it's very, very important that all island nations should have their representation in India for better upliftment and better cooperation and people-to-people engagement.
You know, Neeraj, you know, like when Palau is still, it's in terms of its independence, it's still very young. We are
29.
approaching our 29th year. We just celebrated our 29th Independence Day last October 1. And we send our children to get their education from off island for trainings and also for them to off island to work and then return with their experience to help with nation building. I guess the purpose is to have a full, a strong population with the skills and knowledge to help with nation building. So when I look at the Palau-India relations, I'm also in that area of capacity. How can, and I'm looking at this like Palau also would need that India to help grow its capacity in terms of nation building. How do you see that then? Are there like programs from India that can help Palau in that regard?
Well, you have raised a very, very important point because capacity building may be a new word, but it's always had synonyms right from the past.
Right.
So you can talk of capacity building, you can talk of skill development, and few years ago we would talk of it very simply as education. India being probably now the largest country in the world in terms of population has had challenges from 1947 when we had our independence. And by the way, congratulations to all of us and to all the people of Palau on the 29th Independence Day. And I was fortunate enough to be a part of the celebrations here in Palau. So there are a lot of areas where India offers support at governmental level and at private level. So when we talk of governmental level, Indian government has got a program called ITEC, ITEC. Now this program is offered to children or students outside India of different countries to come into India and study courses of their choice. Indian government is so supportive that if there is a particular program which is not on that list, they will create that program, put it on the list, and then offer it to the students. So this is something which I think Palau should make use of it. The second area I said is the private level. So we've had a couple of private institutions in India offer scholarships to students of Palau to come there to study for 3 months, 6 months, programs in journalism, programs in media, programs in television, programs on paramedical, programs on paralegal, programs in physiotherapy, programs in management. India also has a very active civil services training institute, which I think at a G2G level, there are always deliberations happening between India and Palau. So India has lots to offer. We've got flying schools. Let me give you some figures. We've got more than 700 universities in India. We've got more than 60,000 government schools in India. We've got more than 100,000 private schools in India, probably more than that. We've got more than 80 international and domestic airports in India. So you see the magnitude that India operates on. I think Palau should be able to dig into the resources that India offers, and India is very happily willing to offer. Our Prime Minister Modi, has always been forthcoming in offering whatever you require, especially to Palau.
Yeah. So you talk about Prime Minister Modi, and there was, I think, FIPIC. Yeah.
Yes.
Can you talk about that, and what sort of programs came out of that FIPIC that would help Palau, as well as its the region, Palau in particular?
So FIPIC happened almost.
What is FIPIC, by the way, for the audience?
Forum, Islands, and India.
Forum of Pacific Island countries.
Okay. Yes, yeah.
So FIPIC is a program where all Pacific nations get together. It's like a Pacific Forum.
Right.
But only.
And this is pretty much new.
Yeah.
So the previous FIPIC was in the Pacific region. Prior to that, it was in India.
It is very interesting, Gambes, because Japan also started this.
The Palm
the Palm. Now we have Korea, Pacific Islands.
Right.
We have now India, Pacific Islands. We should also look into the reasons for that later. But
I was very fortunate to be part of the first FIPIC. I think it was held in Jaipur,
New Delhi, Jaipur.
New Delhi, Jaipur. Yeah.
So FIPIC was recently held about 3-4 months ago, where Prime Minister Modi was there, and in fact, I must thank you that the President of Palau has given an award to our Prime Minister, and India is very, very happy about that. So see, things like these strengthen the relations. So however, the Indian government and Prime Minister Modi has announced a package for the entire region. In that we have solar energy, we've got education, we've got healthcare. So I was recently told that one of the islands here required a boat, and medical boat is part of the package. So you see, these are the kind of things, or these are the kind of packages or services that India can assist you with, India can offer you, because India is in a better position. If you look at COVID, India, being a very large population, was able to send the vaccines outside the country to different countries. So we took the initiative to save lives outside. So apart from FIPIC, we've just concluded the G20. So the G20 summit, where India was given the presidency, was a very successful country. In fact, we have taken African Union as a permanent member at G20. Right now it's being represented by Comoros. And so in the G20, Prime Minister has announced an international biofuel alliance. So now what happens? You see the strategy that India is willing to offer. First, we are using the natural resources to give you energy, and then the biofuel can also consume the dumps and the garbage that we have in different countries to generate energy. So that is why when I say that if we do the things right, we could become an energy surplus country in the next 3, 4, 5 years to come.
Wow. Let's talk about tourism. As you know, I want to bring that up because Palau is an economy, a tourism-driven economy. Most of our tourism comes from the big Asian market, Japan, China, Korea, and Taiwan. But these markets are slowly coming back after COVID-19, but not as much as we want them. And we don't even know how soon can we get that that critical mass from those countries to help support our economy. Yeah. So I want to talk about India and tourism. Can you just explain the tourist market in India?
Well, COVID has really beaten all of us up, especially the tourist-driven economies. Yeah. When COVID was relaxed, we had a lot of tourism outflow from India, and also the domestic tourism increased.
Oh, yeah.
Now, some people in India use terminology such as revenge tourism. So when you put somebody in a box and the pressure keeps building, then the lid explodes. So tourism all of a sudden exploded. I think India is now growing in terms of outbound tourism, and Palau should take the benefit of it. However, we have certain limitations at the moment, which I think the Palau government is very actively working upon, is to reduce the flying time and the number of flights into Palau in terms of transit. So the ways to reach Palau are, from India you can either go to Taipei and then come to Palau, you can go to Seoul, then come to Palau, you can go to Japan and then come to Palau, or you can go to Manila and then come to Palau. Till a few years ago, we had direct flights from Delhi to Manila. That would have made it easier from Manila to Palau. However, we now have airlines in India, regional airlines such as Indigo, Air Asia, Vistara, which is now an alliance with Air India, operating to destinations such as Singapore and Thailand from multiple cities in India, and at least twice a day to these countries. It's only a matter of time where we convince them to extend the flight from India to Singapore, and then the next flight from the same airline goes from Singapore to
And I understand that Singapore's main tourists are Indians. They're surpassed Chinese as the...
So one of the languages on the signboard in Singapore is Tamil, and Tamil is a widely spoken language in India, just like you have in other countries as well. So there is a lot of tourist inflow to the ASEAN region, Vietnam, there is to Singapore, to Malaysia, to Indonesia. So there is an opportunity for these tourists, and above all this, we are sitting on two very important opportunity gold mine. One is to become a wedding destination for Indian weddings.
Weddings.
Yes, the Bollywood weddings are filled with glamour and festivities and colors and lots of food in India. And the festivities go on for 3-4 days. So that is one area where I think Palau can capitalize. And the second important area is on filmmaking. So for filmmaking, Palau is an ideal destination. So a lot of film industry people from India fly out to Mauritius, to Maldives, to Sri Lanka for shooting, to Thailand. So why not Palau?
Right.
But we need to equip ourselves. We need to have equipment here. We need to have a skill-based team here. That is why if you see one of the countries, one of the institutions which has offered scholarship to Palauan students is a film and television academy.
That's what we need.
Yes, so there you go. So that's the first stepping stone for a successful industry here, film industry. So there is a huge opportunity in waiting, potential, resources. Palau offers more than 2,000 rooms, I have been told. Not many know about that in India. So when I'm there, I get asked, do you have hotels in Palau? Yes, we do. What kind of hotels do you have? So we've got budget hotels and we've got luxury hotels. We've got water bungalows. So water bungalows is considered to be a luxury product. So this is the awareness that we need to create. India has close to 8 to 10 international travel exhibitions which are held. Palau should be participating actively in those exhibitions, and that is where the tourism will start increasing.
Yeah, you know, you mentioned Bollywood, and here we have PNCC, which is the main telecommunications company, and which provides all the channels for which all of this TMC, this studio, put out its program through its channels, which it pays on a monthly basis. But there's no India program in any of the channels that is I don't know whether you have tried to explore that, maybe get some Bollywood programs, documentary or movies, or you know, like these regular episodes, comedy or crime, drama, but stations like this, TMC, not only TMC but the other stations would be keen to have you know, like programs to share with Palawan viewers. Do you see that as something that can be explored to bring some of those taste of India and cultures of India to share with Palau?
So I see a very healthy viewership in what you are saying. We've got in India, we've got close to 600 channels for entertainment and news, regional language channels, national language channels, English channels. So the opportunity lies in documentaries, in food, in travel guide, in serials and in movies. All this will help you to see different cultures of India, because India is not one culture, it's a diverse culture ecosystem. So there is a lot of opportunity if somebody is willing from Palau to look at it. We are happy to support to get content for the people of Palau, and it will keep them engaged and educated on latest trends in India, on knowledge, on history, on food. So a lot of content can be given to India.
You know, we touched a little bit about education. So we send our young people of Island for university education, for trainings, vocational trade. But for India, that could be one of the destination that Palawans can go to get their education, to get to learn new trade. Is there? I mean, if I'm interested to go to school in India, is there like an opportunity to help Palawans in that regard?
Of course. We are happy, and we are happy to welcome Palawans. Like I said, Palau and India share a very, very friendly relationship between both countries, and we are absolutely happy to coordinate for children to come and study in schools, to study in academies. Like I told you about I-Tech program, they can even go and learn flying there, learn security there, learn filmmaking there. So you can actually initiate a film industry in Palau. You can start shooting serials. One very good thing I must congratulate Palau is that they have restarted Miss Palau, whom we have met. So this is like an announcement to the world that we are also there. We are there to compete, because the world is all about competition. So you compete only when you create. So when when we create is when people see. So in Hindi there is a saying, I will translate it. Hindi is the language spoken in India, in most of the states. Jo dikhta hai wo bikta hai, which means what is seen is sold. So till the time we don't showcase ourselves, people will not buy our services, people will not buy our products. So I think film industry, filmmaking is a very good step that you have raised, and I am so happy to see this studio. I never expected Palau to have such infrastructure. It's very impressive.
And so that's what I want to go. You know, we have, as you can see, we have our young Palauans who are involved, but we would like to one of the things that we would like to do is to upgrade their skills, to learn other aspects of from editing to working with graphics and software. So that's the area of need. That this we would like to have the opportunity to send them to learn those skills. So is there are there like training opportunities, scholarships that we can access to help in that regard for not only these people here but also in other studios around the island?
Well, your man in India is making the initiatives to provide scholarships for Palauan students. What I have seen, you know, that we come from large economies where our exposure, the exposure of our children to media, to people interaction, to risks, to opportunities is relatively higher than the people in island nations, because we are kind of cut off, we are secluded. So when a student goes to a bigger city, it's like if I went to New York, the moment I would land, I would be overwhelmed with the large size buildings. But then the second time I went, the third time I went, I would be comfortable. And if I went and the next time Marvin wanted to go, I would say, hey, Marvin, don't worry, it's fine. So it's like somebody is telling him and assuring him that it's okay to go. So same way, till the time we don't send our children from Palau to India, at least 2 of them, 4 of them, 6 of them, 10 of them, they will go there, they will study, and they will come back and say, hey, it's a good, nice world out there in India to study. People, the faculties are very well educated. We've got one of the best business schools in the world. We've got one of the best media and training institutes in the world. And in India, media is considered the 4th pillar of the constitution. So if anything has to start, I think the first start has to be from media.
And that's what we like to see, to get more people involved with, to get people to, the young Palauans to get that necessary skills to start off with, to build a stronger media institutions here on the island.
Kamlesh, do you think we can move on to the healthcare, India, and maybe
so
healthcare and
let's go
medical
to the area of medical, and we know that some of the people, even in this room, has been to India for medical care. Can you kind of discuss on that healthcare and how can Palau benefit from India's healthcare or their expertise, medical?
You know, once again, first of all, I have to congratulate Palau for preempting the COVID and closing its borders to protect the people, because we are a very small population compared to countries like China, India, Japan, UK.
What's the population of India?
1.4
billion.
So during COVID, the health system of not only India but even countries like UK, US, Brazil was overwhelmed. The chinks were exposed. That has given us a lot of learning. The learning is that we now need to develop satellite health centers across. We now need to increase our capacity building in terms of paramedical and healthcare professionals. So for that, first of all, I feel that Palau should take the assistance of India in building paramedical resources here. our children here should be trained in becoming nurses, in becoming operation theatre technicians, in becoming X-ray technicians, MRI machine technicians, so blood bank technicians, lab technicians. So these are all skill sets which are required, basic skill sets which are required for any healthcare system of any country. It's not just about Palau, not just about India, not just about any other island nation. Every country needs its resources. Just the way you need a team here to operate the studio here, same way you need a team to operate the labs. India has a lot of medical colleges, a lot of paramedical institutes where training is undertaken. I would recommend a understanding or a cooperation wherein a hybrid model of training is used to create paramedical resources. So I am dividing this into two parts. So first is simultaneously we create a medical hybrid model for training. The other one is I see that Palau sends a lot of patients outside India for treatments. I have a different thought, and I hope you concur with me on that. Why not create a facility here and have countries such as Japan, US, India send their specialist doctors on a monthly basis or bi-monthly basis to perform surgeries and operations and post-operation follow-ups. Instead of spending so much of money like a 30,000 or a 40,000 referral fee outside, the same money can be used for the healthcare system development. So we believe in a saying that money saved is money earned. So I think this is an area which Palau should seriously look at, creating a good hospital here. India has been very supportive in giving public health centers. You can look at mobile clinics. I myself am a mobile clinic specialist. Mobile dialysis units, mobile blood banks, mobile X-ray units are something which I have designed, fabricated and sold across the world. So I think that healthcare system is manageable here because for now we have a relatively manageable population. But my only suggestion is that if we can create something within the country rather than going out. So right now it's an era of going hand in hand. India is willing, I'm sure other countries are also willing to support to create infrastructure. I think we should do that.
The last one is labor force. India is English-speaking country, your former British colony.
Yes.
Highly skilled.
Yes.
You have Bangladesh, who used to be part of India, and now it's your border. That's a lot of our labor sources come from Bangladesh. Why not India, Yakambes? How come this country is not focusing on India for labor force?
I have no idea, and that's a good question. Why didn't we look into it?
Same distance, same airfare, highly skilled, English speaking. This is something that I think our country needs to tap into.
A very valid point you have raised, same airfare. India has a very large pool of resources in all dimensions across the entire ecosystem, be it healthcare, be it accountancy, be it taxation, be it teachers, be it casual labor workforce, be it technicians. We have very good mechanics in India, car mechanics. We've got very good IT services support system, our laptops, our mobile phones. In fact, if you dig into data, you will find more subscribers of mobile phones in India than the population, which means that on an average, everybody keeps 1 or 2 mobile phones, which means that there is so much of requirement for services of handsets, of instruments and things like that. So I feel that there is a huge opportunity for the Indian workforce to come. I would request or make an appeal to everybody in Palau that if you require workforce, please look at India. We are happy to come here. We are hardworking people. We are knowledgeable people. We are experienced people, and we easily adapt to changes. and of course the language is something which is very very easy for us to come.
You know, in relation to, you know, like labor, I'm looking because some Palauans also, they have ideas. They want to start their own business. They have many ideas and they want to start, but they need some sort of encouragement and help to help them realize their dreams. And I'm talking about, you know, like with India, especially with this internet technology, tech sector, like the startup areas. Can you discuss about that? And are there any ways that Palau can maybe benefit from India's expertise? And
so the startup ecosystem
Right.
in India is a very vibrant ecosystem. If you've heard of Shark Tank,
yeah, Shark Tank.
Shark Tank US. So we've now got a Shark Tank India,
Wow.
and they have finished 2 seasons. Now I think they're going to do the 3rd season, and there's overwhelming response of Shark Tank. Now, in terms of startup, most state governments in India and the national government in India is offering a lot of schemes and incubation centers for startups. Earlier, it was for the domestic people, but over a period of time, it has now expanded to various countries. I see a huge opportunity here if we can cooperate with the startup ecosystem of India and create a startup ecosystem in Palau which talk to each other and then connect the people who are willing to give ideas or who are willing to create something, because they are not only creating for Palau, they are creating for India, which is a huge consumer market. So when you talk of IT services, you talk of payment gateways, you talk of website building, so you already have a domain name here, which is a very big advantage. So these are the areas where startup cooperation can be undertaken. I think it's something which should be propagated to the institutions here, to the people, and focus should be more on startup for women. So Palau, leads the world in matrilineage. So which shows that we respect our women. So do Indians. So women empowerment, women entrepreneurship, getting more and more women in the workforce, which is also part of the UN SDG, the 17 goals, getting gender equality and women in the workforce. So I think startup ecosystem, if created in India and in Palau and cooperated with India, will create a new era of entrepreneurs in Palau.
Palau has been looking at developing its public transportation system, and there's a program that they are trying to bring in electric powered transportation buses or vehicles for the program. So I just wanna, how is India in regards to electric vehicles?
So I'll just give you some ballpark figures. So we've got close to 31 states in India, plus union territories. Each state on an average will have more than 3 million two-wheelers. I'm talking one state. We should have more than about 100,000 tuk-tuks, the three-wheeler passenger autos, trucks, buses. So I come from the bus industry. I used to manufacture buses, a public transport system. So there are close to 200,000 public transport buses across India, which operate and which have a lifespan of 4 years, 5 years. India has been evolving in EVs at a very rapid pace. Maybe in the last 5 years, if you go back into 5 years, we hardly had any presence of EVs. But if you look at it today, all the automobile manufacturers in India of the world We of course have Tata Motors, Mahindras, which is our homegrown brands. We've got Daimler, Mercedes, Audi, BMW, MG, Suzuki, Kia, Hyundai. So these brands have now started moving from fossil fuel vehicles to electric vehicles, and at a very, very rapid pace. Government of India is offering subsidies, incentives for registration, for scrapping of the fossil fuel vehicles, which is helping them to also look at the net zero or the carbon reduction target that we have. According to me, if you want to build an electric vehicle ecosystem in Palau, you first need to build the charge points. For you to build the charge points, you need to have your electricity regulated. So you need to have your energy requirements in place. Otherwise, if you have the charge points and all the cars are sucking up the energy, so there is going to be a drain on your power system. So there is a huge potential for electric buses. You could look at public transport system as trams right from Karor to Babeldaw, which could do like a 4 or 5 time a day kind of a system. You will see reduction of cars on the roads. In my opinion, first the public transport system should be turned electric, and then the private cars should be turned electric. There is one more point that I want to highlight, a trend that I'm now seeing. The fossil fuel buses, like in India, the public transport system, normally after 4 or 5 years, they reach something called as EOL, end of life. They are now being converted into electric vehicles by local entrepreneurs. So this is again a highlight of the startup ecosystem. So similarly, the vehicles here over a period of time can be converted into electric, but then you need the infrastructure. So I think the urban planners in Palau should now focus on building an electric charge point infrastructure for vehicles as well.
Neeraj, thank you. I have my last question before we go to the end of the program.
Okay.
I want you to talk about Palau-India bilateral trade. Can you just kind of like talk about that?
So from 1994, if we look into our history of bilateral relations between Palau and India, we've had trade which I would consider to be very insignificant. So the trade has been more on the Indian side, sending machinery, sending pharmaceutical products, sending processed food. I want that trade has to be on both sides.
Right.
That's where you have the trade balance. You talk of the trade balance, the trade imbalance. India now has signed an agreement with Russia, with few other countries, where the trade happens within the currency. So if we are buying fuel from a country, let's say Russia, so we buy it in the Indian rupee, and Russia pays us receives it and keeps it. If Russia buys something, they buy in the Russian ruble. And so there is accounts created at both country ends, which exporters and importers can use. So I think if we are able to first start a delegation interaction, which is a people-to-people interaction, wherein a delegation from India comes to Palau and a delegation from Palau goes to India to explore opportunities, that should be the starting point. And I feel that if that happens, you will start seeing a lot of industry developing here. My humble request would be to look at non-polluting industries such as packaging of products, and Palau can become like a gateway for supplies to the Pacific. So it can be a transit point, it can be a warehousing hub. So for that, the shipping lines and the ports can be developed, our warehousing can be developed. So there is a lot of opportunity which exists, but it has to start somewhere. So either we have a delegation of Palauan businessmen, if not businessmen, Palauan businesswomen, because in the last 4 or 5 days I'm seeing that the women in Palau are so active when it comes to business and decision making. It's a very positive sign for the world.
Neeraj, do you see in India manufactures a lot of things. In Palau, if you manufacture things in Palau, you export to the US under the compact, it's tax free. Do you see something of an interest like Indians opening a foreign direct company in Palau and to produce some exports to the United States tax free? I think that's
look, Indian companies are not new to going overseas now. We have a history of 75 years and way before that as well. In the last 20 years, 30 years and more so in the last 10 years, there is a thrust on Indian companies exporting. So when Prime Minister Modi became the Prime Minister of the country, he created a vision of Make in India. So we reduced our dependency of import from countries such as China, and we started making things in India. So when we started doing that, we started exporting as well. So Indian government offers a lot of incentives for exports of different kind of products. So if you want to look at something like that, I think there should be a joint working group first between India and Palau to understand the taxation, to understand the incentives that can be offered for an Indian businessman to come here, repackage and sell it to the US or Japan as well. So electric vehicles can be a very, very big market for assembly line. Food processing can be a very big market for assembly, like tomato puree can be a very big product line here. You have lots of coconuts. We've got a coconut development board in India. We can talk to the coconut development board, have a cooperation between the business houses in Palau and business houses in India to create processing units here to export to the world on the eastern side. So I think there is a huge opportunity that we sit upon, but the thrust has to be on creating working groups for every industry that you are looking at. So like he has pointed out on education, on tourism, so it can't be one size fit all. So everything has to be custom based, everything has to be deliberated and then put forward so that the failures are lesser and we preempt the challenges and troubleshoot it to create a very easy platform for businessmen and bilateral trade.
Yeah. Thank you. So we've come to the last part of the program, and it is what we call the lightning round. And the lightning round simply means that I'll give you 2 minutes. You say everything you want to share in those 2 minutes, and then after that I'll give it to Marvin, and then after Marvin, then I will close the program on our behalf.
So let me have water for that.
Okay, yeah, sure.
So I have been in Palau almost 5 times,
Yep.
and every time I come, I feel that I should stay here for some more time. You are coming up with programs such as digital residency and cryptocurrency,
Right.
but my focus is more on digital residency. If you can create a very comprehensive system of digital residency, incentives, privileges, facilities for whosoever is taking it, I think digital residency itself will become a huge revenue earner for Palau. On the other side, answering your question, Marvin, for bilateral trade, I think digital residency can be a platform and a gateway for businesses to establish here and operate worldwide. So overall, everything's looking good. The resources are there, the willingness of people is there, and most importantly, I'm very happy that when I see any Palauan citizen, they talk of 2 things. You've used the word rapid fire because now I am on fire. The first thing is that every Palauan citizen that I have met talks of promoting his country. That is a very, very good thing, very positive sign. And the other one is, every Palauan citizen that I have met talks of taking care of his parents or her parents. So that family bonding is the ideal mix for a very successful country. So it is said that when you have the blessings of the elders, nothing can stop you. I am reminded of one recent episode where I had brought my family here and I had the opportunity of meeting Excellency, the President of Palau. And my son was with me. And while seeing off the President, myself and my son, we were walking to the car. He stopped. President Surangal Vips Jr. stopped, turned and looked at my son and told him one thing only: take care of your father. You know, my son remembers a lot of things, but for life, he will always remember what the President said. So these are the good things that I see positivity in Palau when we come. Rest, pristine waters, lovely food, excellent people, good governance. You have all the right mix for a successful economy.
Right.
Marvin?
Yes, my concern is the diversification of Palau's source of labor and also tourism. And I believe that the ongoing negotiations with air service agreements between India, Palau, Singapore and Palau, that would be the gateway to exploring to digital residency and manufacturing exports. So thank you for your time. And the reason why I'm concerned about the diversification of the workforce is that I'm concerned about Bangladesh and,
Marvin,
and our dependency.
It is always good to have diverse workforce.
Yes.
So if you look at the UAE, they just don't depend on India or a Bangladesh or a Sri Lanka. They've got people from Lebanon, they've got workforce from Egypt, they've got workforce from Tunisia, from Morocco. So that should be an example that we don't depend on just one particular
or one tourism source.
Yes, we look at a wide, varied world. Communication has shrunk the world. Right. So I think we've got very, very good opportunities. India should also take this opportunity of sending its workforce to Palau, and we are happy to do that. And you will see that Indians work more sincerely. I mean, we would like to talk about ourselves, but we like to work more sincerely, and we are happy to serve whomsoever we have to serve. And one example is Taj Palau. It's been in Palau for more than 2 decades. And even today, if I ask anybody in this room, which is your most preferred restaurant in Palau, they would say Taj Palau. So that itself shows.
Yes, and there's also that perception that India is a third world country. So this is a very good opportunity for us to highlight the relations between Palau and India and show to the Palau community that India is an affluent country, no longer a third country.
Land Rover belongs to India as a brand. Taj Hotels belongs to India as a brand. So you see,
the world have changed since 1994.
Infosys and Wipro are probably the largest technologies companies in India of India in the world. Among the top 10 billionaires in the world, you find Indians listed there. So it shows that the graph has changed.
Things have changed.
Things have changed. Give us another 10 more years. We have a great vision, and our vision is called Vasudeva Kutumbakam, which means the world is one for us. So we take everybody hand in hand. So if we grow, everybody grows.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Neeraj. This has been a very wonderful interview. Lots of information to. Thank you for sharing those important information that not only us, but also information that our policymakers and leadership would be good to have. And I understand you're leaving tomorrow night.
Yes.
So
happily and unhappily, I leave tomorrow. I go off island. But I'm always happy to come back, always happy to be of assistance to anybody, any Palauan citizen, anywhere in the world, I am there.
Okay. I'll extend an invitation for you to be here next time, and then we can catch up.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you Neeraj, thank you Marvin. Akmal di yung mga kama mengerti, akmal di mereka suli promosi dan mot mengerti alnya melihat program Kausischakl. Madi mo at mokla bengi, we have a happy weekend. Mahuk next week. Mali meritiang, emi iga.
Thank you.